This episode is brought to you by Brave Wave, a video game music label that has recently released the first solo album from Keiji Yamagishi, the composer of the original Ninja Gaiden and Tecmo Super Bowl. So check it out. You can go and find it at store.bravewave.net.
When I was a kid, I played Tecmo Super Bowl almost every single day with my buddy Logan, and his dad convinced us that the running back for the Denver Broncos was invincible. So we would have these giant flat-out battles about who got to play as the Denver Broncos.
Like in life or in the game?
In the
as
game.
a child, you might
in the game
either.
In the game, it's like because we would sometimes see his dad playing Tecmo Super Bowl. Like his dad was.
We're on a theme recently in terms of children
being confused.
Children are always confused. Confused children. We're fucking confused children.
Yep.
Podcast.
You've had this cough for too long. There's a steam room at the gym across the street.
And the 3D effects are incredible.
I want you to come with me. No, fuck off. Oh, God.
Oh my God, it's March 18th, 2015.
This is Idle Thumbs 202. I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Sean Van.
200 and number 2.
Oh, what? I'm Jake Rodkin.
I'm Danielle Riendo.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow.
Hey.
We're here.
Hey.
Hi, everybody.
You guys just staring each other down.
Yeah,
We kind of were.
Jake and Danielle just had a moment of some kind.
Yeah.
That was bizarre.
Yeah.
But
That was like I thought you guys were gonna ask her to prom at the end of that. Just like bumped into her in the hallway and went, oh.
She said
So
no.
will you do anything on this Friday? Maybe the prom, maybe not. I don't know. We could see a movie or something, or I could just go die. Okay, goodbye. Bye.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
It was exciting.
Everybody's just playing City Skylines. Right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I'm not.
I wish I were.
Right now? Or you
I
mean?
mean, yes,
Like at the
but also
moment.
more in general.
Yeah.
I don't have internet at my new apartment, so I'm not doing anything. I'm watching TV shows from like 2 weeks ago. That's what I'm doing.
You know,
Comcast
City
cares.
Skylines.
Comcast gives zero fucks.
Our internet was out for most of last week, and we found out it's because the people who live 2 floors above us just cut ours and attached the wire to theirs.
Oh,
They just stole your cable, literally?
Isn't that so funny? Paolo discovered that when he went home last week. Like, because the cable guy was coming, like, oh, we see the source of your problem. Your upstairs neighbors are industrious.
Oh my God.
No one's gonna notice. Snip. Like, what?
Yeah.
They're going to send a guy
The
out.
whole floor of this building's TV stopped and yours started. Weird.
I mean, the whole floor is just our apartment.
I know.
Couldn't you very easily?
They could have just split it.
I was just going to say,
Yeah,
for the same
seriously.
They make
effort.
a thing that's
You
called a
could just
cable
bought-
splitter that is literally that.
Yeah.
It splits a cable.
My concern is that when we reattached it to ours, went, hey, what's the deal? The cable's out. And then we're just going to be involved now in a passive-aggressive, months-long campaign.
Oh my God.
Turns out it's actually a third neighbor's cable and always has been. You guys
It's just a middle floor. It's the middle floor
they're
people.
just fighting over.
There are actually
Cable
2 other
wars.
live cable leads just somewhere else in the building.
Well, we have one of those just ancient San Francisco houses. I mean, ancient meaning 120 years old, but like, just one of those.
For here.
Where there's
Yeah.
wiring cruft from all
the-
eras.
yes, exactly. It's just on the outside of the house, just on the wall. It's just there. It's just there in like 4 different huge rat's nests of
Right, of
crazy
different
cables.
amounts of has been painted over,
Yeah.
has been taped before
Right.
being painted over.
I remember
is in
when
the
I
cable.
first got internet hooked up in that apartment, the guy came over and he looked at it and he was just like, oh man,
Yeah, well,
I'm going to need
okay,
a ladder.
so-
And it was just a whole day process of the 2 of us like testing things and like tracing paths.
Yeah, the reason that
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
have cable is because that's what happened. I'm in a building that has 30 units. It's built in the 20s, and it has 2 metal boxes that are probably from the 50s down in the basement, one on each side of the building, and you open them, and it's just hundreds of coaxial cables, some of which have little like metal hand-painted loops on them with apartment numbers.
Oh.
And some of them
Wait.
don't. Some of them are broken off. There's just a handful of just broken numbers on the floor of these boxes. So the cable guy came over and he just went which is hilarious. And then we did that for half a day. Then he's like, I guess you don't have cable in your apartment. And he left.
What?
And now someone is supposed to be talking to someone, and I'm not involved in the equation because it's the people who own the building and the cable guy.
Right.
So therefore, I will never have internet.
So what do other people do in your
You should
building?
just buy
Oh, they all have cable.
But you don't in your specific unit.
Our unit was renovated, and apparently it might just be curled up in the wall somewhere. And not
Okay.
go
You
downstairs.
just buy a MiFi.
Wow.
What is that? What is a
That's
MiFi?
money.
Verizon MiFi.
That is money.
Like through the sky thing. They're awesome. Like, yeah, like
It's
20
just
down.
like
We
cellular
use them at
data,
E3
basically?
a lot.
Yeah, they're really
at
good.
Polygon.
I'm sure it's expensive though. I'm sure
Just
those two
stream
gigs are gonna
Netflix
go
off that Verizon. Anyway, whatever. So I have not been playing
Oh man!
cities.
Speaking of that, speaking of just like getting internet through the air, basically, there's a internet provider here in San Francisco called Monkey Brains that transmits internet to your house through like a satellite dish base, not a satellite dish, but through a like
line of
direct
sight.
point to point
Okay.
line of sight
Yeah.
transmission, and
It's amazing.
It's really good.
I had it in my old apartment. It was great.
Yeah, but to get permit, but like if you rent, you have to get your landlord's permission to put.
It's like a
dish
DirecTV dish.
Right, yeah. And I remember we contacted our landlord to see if we could do it, and he's like, I don't think so. I don't really want like stuff on the outside of the house. Meanwhile, just like pan
The rat's
2
nest.
degrees down, just infinite cables and boxes, and just a century of just digital garbage, like just like entirely covering one
you tell him it
face
was
of
called
our-
Waterfall of
Monkey
hell.
Brains?
Huh?
Did you tell him it was called Monkey Brains? Maybe it would have changed his mind.
I think we did. I don't think this is the kind of guy who would be won over.
He wouldn't
by
be
that.
into that. Okay. Yeah. Not an Indiana Jones fan.
Although, actually, you know what? This is relevant to City Skylines because when I was without internet last week, I could play that game.
I was going to make
on
that
offline
joke,
mode
yeah.
on Steam.
You acquired it.
I had already
Why you
downloaded
had
the
internet.
game, and
And it works without a
it
connection.
continued to
Oh,
work without a
unlike
connection.
other The City Simulator games.
Right.
Yeah. This game it's so funny to me how the first half an hour of City Skyline are just in your face. We are not SimCity.
Really? I did not find that.
Oh,
to be
Okay,
Really?
it is. It's in your face. You're saying it's in your face. This is SimCity, but it's not like your dad's SimCity.
It's not the
right?
shitty one that you just played.
Yeah.
It's like all the things that should go wrong in the first half an hour of setting up your city just go wrong. Like,
Like
I
you fed
cut
your
off
people
Oh,
poop water.
I see what
Right,
you mean.
you know
what I mean?
So you mean
Like,
okay? I see what you're saying.
all the bad design decisions
It's like
that gave
SimCity,
us
but with
SimCity.
all the safeties turned off, kind of.
Yeah, all the bad.
I get
like,
it.
You know,
Okay.
all the things that was like, no, we really just need this game to be super accessible. We need people buying stuff in the store. We need as many people playing this as possible. Online mode. That's what we need. They're just like, no, we're just going to make a good game, and people will appreciate.
You'll
that.
learn. You'll learn to play it by fucking up.
Yeah,
In the ways that you're
Oh,
supposed to
God.
fuck up, not the ways that are
Right.
like impossible for you to address because they're baked into the game.
Exactly right.
Yeah, no, okay, I see what you're saying.
Lights went on and off in my city.
Because for what it's worth,
Yes. Poop was everywhere.
Poop in the water.
Yeah, people were drinking their own shit in no time.
because the 2013 Maxis SimCity, I actually, for what it's worth, like my first hour of that game was actually amazing. It was super entertaining and fun, which was the basis on which we like.
But that's
got
because
really
it was
excited about
entertaining
the
and fun
game.
because it was beautiful, though.
Right, that's true, and that is the main area in which that game
You built a beautiful, harmonious
superior
city in an
to
hour.
City Skylines,
Yeah.
but in all the other ways that matter, City Skylines actually works.
But even it's like, I don't think it's
it is
more beautiful than. You know, it's marginally nicer looking.
I meant like
terms of its
the
polish.
Maxis SimCity felt like it was very much about like you using the simulation elements of SimCity to create harmony, like to create a
Right.
harmonious
Right.
clockwork-like city that you can observe from afar as it beautifully builds
Right.
itself.
Yeah,
I didn't
totally.
mean like the art is pretty, which is also
Right.
true.
Yeah.
But City Skylines, every single person who I've ever heard talk about it is like, oh, I fed my people poop.
Yep.
Yeah, there's actually a great thread on the Idle Thumbs forum. I mean, I would imagine this would be true of almost any thread on any forum community about City Skylines, but the one about City Skylines on the Idle forums is good, unsurprisingly. It's one of those threads where you just kind of browse through it and look at all the screenshots everyone's posting of their cities, and it just makes you want to play it. Like, it's just a classic thread like that. You know, one person posts the one, like, the person who's actually good at the game posts the ones where their city population is like 110,000 and it just looks like an infinite metropolis, and it just, you're like, man, it looks so awesome. And it's already huger than anything you could ever make in the Maxis SimCity. And then you see someone who's like, I fucked up my hydroelectric dam, and the entire
It's just
city's
a flooded
flooded.
city with like a sad dam in the middle of it. And it's like, oh, that didn't do its
It's
job.
like, what? That's in this game? And then someone posts one where their entire city is like exactly in the shape of the like Soviet hammer and sickle. And it's just, you just browse through the page, and every different expression of someone being good or bad at this game is there in just 2 pages of people's posts and images and posts. And it makes you want to, and that's what I was doing before we recorded this podcast. And I desperately want to play that game right now. And I'm in yet another situation where I for the next like 2 weeks, I can look ahead into my future of what all my individual days are going to be. And I know that there's not one single day where I'm just unencumbered to play this game, and it makes me sad.
That is really sad. I was going to say the Idle Thumbs community, but it's better to have good reasons than just like, oh, I'm going to be miserable today.
Right. No, it'll be good. But
the community was very helpful last night. I was playing this game.
Oh, yeah, you streamed it on the Idle Thumbs Twitch channel.
I was streaming it, and I was getting a lot of good advice.
twitch.tv/idlethumbs.
Yes, you should go there to watch excellent streams of good games. Or interesting games, if they're not good.
I like that you're ranking the quality of your streams above the game. They're excellent streams of good
Hey, they're
good
excellent
games.
streams. The games are of varying quality, but the stream is always top notch. Anyway, people were very helpful. They were helping me out. Because I had played a few hours, of the game previously. I had made a few Poopwater cities and, a couple of marginally successful towns.
Oh, Poopwater cities.
Poopwater population on the decline.
It's like Boston. Yeah, on the decline. It's the dirty water.
Oh, I saw it. Sorry, Water Cities just sounds like somebody's last name to me.
Oh, I thought that it was the mayor of the mayor of Poopwater.
Yeah, Poopwater sounds like a town name.
Yeah, that's like an old gold rush
town in Massachusetts. Yeah. You go up by Poopwater near Dorchester.
Or Arizona.
Or Arizona, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Right next to, like, normal and weird.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Poopwater.
Actually, you know what? Those are all actually, in fact, just district names in cities' skylines. Which one of the coolest features of this game is that you can, in addition to zoning specific, like, city blocks for residential, commercial, or industrial, you can also just freeform paint districts that are just that are purely like abstract and under your own, like unlike zones, they don't have to adhere to roads or anything. They can be wherever you want, and you can give them individual policies that deal with things like recycling and traffic and like.
That's amazing!
Really
cool. It's so fucking cool.
You can add like
you can name them whatever you want.
Yeah.
Man, so you could way more accurately simulate San Francisco with cities' skylines by just going so out of control with regional district regulations that your city is dysfunctional immediately.
Well,
Upper Noe China Knob over here. Yeah.
the So Twilo, the Twitter line. So Twilo and No Twilo. Those are real things now.
Oh my god, of course they
North
are. Those fucking
Twitterloin and South
are these just
Twitterloin.
like new real estate subgroup names?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's horrible.
I was talking to Jane about the districts, and she was saying she like solved an actual practical problem by she was getting congestion. She was getting congestion because of the like heavy trucks that were, because in this game things are simulated to a much higher degree than they like. Individual actors are simulated to a much higher degree than they are in the Maxis SimCity game. And so you get these very specifically caused problems, like trucks that are taking raw materials to and from your industrial factories. Like
Look how happy he is.
I just want to go play this game. It's a disaster.
They have to actually drive on the road, like from the freeway to the actual factories. And so if you have a lot of factories that need those raw materials delivered, you get these traffic problems, especially if they're going through your residential zones, which have low density roads or whatever, low capacity, low throughput roads, whatever they are. And Jane like ended up building a like freeway overpass that went over the residential area, and then zoning the residential area, like instituting a policy of no heavy traffic, so the trucks are like legally barred from like taking big semis through there, so they have to use her detour.
Did it actually literally go over her residential neighborhood? If so, does that then...
Well, I don't know if hers did, but you can do that in the game.
Man, does it lower the property value if you suddenly have heavy trucks? Like
well, we decided to make Emeryville.
Well,
there is noise pollution.
If trucks create noise pollution and just pollution, it would lower the property value. If you put a freeway over a previously thriving residential area, then you'd create the East Bay.
It may have been just like... adjacent to it, who knows? But the point is, like, she successfully redirected traffic using the districting.
Right, using zoning laws.
You can build, like, have you seen all the, like, road height tools? Because you can
I saw someone built built a freeway overpass over their airport landing strip, but they did it right.
That was just in the gun run.
Yeah, that was gun run. So planes would touch down, and then they would just go, and as they slow down under the freeway. Like, it's the most efficient, total abuse of that ever. But it looks amazing, though.
It's like only pro pilots in Gun Runville.
This game is really, really fun.
It's really hard for me. It's a really, 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 really challenging game for me.
It is also challenging for me.
Because I started building my city and then zoomed my camera out enough ticks after, like, I don't know, my first hour, and realized that, like, my roads weren't quite parallel and that everything was just a little askew, and I basically just couldn't handle it for the rest of it.
No, that's when you gotta go see if someone's made a flat iron building that you can stick in the place where your angles
it's not
are
like
off.
that. It's not. It's just a little off. Just like
2 degrees.
Just a touch. Just a touch off.
Just wherever that angle is, put a bunch of parks. You'll never know.
I was just trying to bring a road straight across another road, and then it wouldn't let me, so I had to like make it a little. I can't handle that.
Put a roundabout in. You gotta just own it.
Oh, no, I'm starting over.
Oh no,
which pisses me off because I really liked the city I was building, but it's gone now.
The thing that I have trouble with, and this is purely from my own brain, and might actually come out of playing the Maxis game, is my tendency is to build everything so close to each other at the beginning, because in that game, I played a lot of it despite it being disappointing in a lot of ways. I still played it for many hours. And because the overall size of your city is just hard capped, I mean, you can have other cities connected to it, but in terms of like the contiguous space
in
you have
2013,
in the Maxis game, you are limited to this one block that will never get any bigger. And so I got really accustomed to building everything incredibly dense. But in this game, you don't have to do that.
It's funny because that goes so against sort of your instinct from all other SimCities, where you would always like build your sort of first cluster of residential and commercial. Then you'd build like the shitty dirt road that goes way out to where your power and sewage is, way out in the middle of nowhere. And then you'd eventually have to grow out to it and build an industrial district. But with SimCity, the new one, you could not do that because there just wasn't space. If you did that, you actually fucked yourself.
So what do you do? Like,
what do you mean?
I mean, I would like a new strategy for playing this game. And like, I'd never know what to do at the beginning, where I come off the freeway, like the seed freeway, and I build sort of like a loop or like a triangle or like a cross, and then I put like residential.
Well, right at the freeway overpass is where you've got to put like a bunch of dumpy industrial buildings, and then later put McMansions there in a way that's really annoying, and then like half a mile in, put an old timey downtown.
That's what I want. I just want to build San Rafael. Yeah. With McMansions that are literally like 100 yards over the fucking...
Yeah, where it's like, this used to be a quarry, and now it's called like Quarry Heights.
Crystal Quarry.
That's actually Petaluma, just north of Marin County where I grew up. There was a quarry. There's like... Right when I was a kid, there was a drive-in theater, which apparently in the 70s was a porno drive-in theater.
Fuck yeah,
which I don't understand, because you could see it from the overpass. And those kids,
God
bless those kids.
And there was just a quarry and like a freight dumping yard, and now that is just like the drive-in is like preserved marshland. Quarry is like Quarry Heights, a string of McMansions, and the scrapyard is now like an artisanal scrapyard.
What?
What does that mean?
It's like it's got like a little like windmill made of welded found parts with like a wacky welded animal, and like it's called something cute with like a flower made out of plywood.
And twice a year, all the creepos come out of their McMansion and project 4K porn on the old drive-in.
And it's a cultural exchange.
Yeah. Yeah, they have like movies in the park where they get the inflatable screen up, but it's just retro porn night. Yeah.
Look, kids.
That would be the most interesting thing happening in Petaluma. Yeah. Bar none.
All of these things and more are coming soon to the City Skylines asset store.
That's the thing.
You could do that.
You could have a porno drive-in with the Steam community shit.
It's kind of amazing. I've only just dabbled the tiniest little bit into what people have been making. Yeah, and it's great.
I saw someone put together what seems to already be a successful Patreon profile, and it's a guy who's trying to pay off his student debt by like having people pledge to however much money they want.
Is that the guy who used to work at Maxis? Because I saw a lot of write-ups about...
Oh, did he used to work at Maxis? I didn't
There was a guy who used to work at Maxis who then he worked on SimCity, and then now I think is between jobs and made like a coal power plant and like an In-N-Out burger.
I think that is that guy, maybe. And I remember seeing the coal power plant, but I mean, I don't know if it's the same guy.
I don't know if it's the same guy, but
every time he builds a city, his Patreon ticks over.
It's every time he releases a new asset.
Every time he builds an asset.
Like, building,
so he's paying off things by releasing new content, like mod content?
He has a Patreon going, which is whenever I make a new city Skylines asset
mainly buildings, I think, right?
It's new buildings. Yeah. When I make a new building, anyone who's backing me pays me for it, and then obviously they get it along with the community.
But he's like really $200 a building right now.
Yeah, when you add up all the people who have pledged.
Yeah.
It is. It's an ex-Maxis developer. And you can tell because the buildings look great. They just look like really professionally made.
The headline that I saw was just SimCity artists now making assets for City Skylines, and it's like, I don't know. Maxis blew up if you're a modeler.
I know. What an amazing turn of events over the past 2 weeks. Literally in the same 2 weeks, they closed Maxis in Emeryville in this game launch.
Oh, I know. This is a weird web tech deep cut, but we used to use a chat program for Idle Thumbs called Campfire to manage all of our stuff. Yeah. And the company that ran Campfire shut it down literally the same week as this other chat program called Slack went out of beta. And it was just like, this is the most fortuitous timing because Slack is all the things that Campfire wasn't. And now Slack...
Well, they like sunsetted Campfire. They said, we're not shutting it down, but we are done updating it. And
everybody's already been on Slack.
It feels like Max is closing and the implicit, if you were ever going to still play SimCity, don't. At the exact same time as City Skylines, like the City Skylines guys had no idea.
No, of course
surely that was happening, but but they must have just gone.
The Steam Workshop integration on this is so fucking cool.
Is it actually so Steam Workshop?
It's Steam, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Uh-huh. Yeah, when you're in the main.
I actually haven't browsed the mods at all yet.
Have you seen? I don't know if you played in the past few days. I don't know if it's an update or if it shipped.
But
in the main menu, it just shows you like a scroll of things that are in the workshop.
Yeah, it's basically the right side of your.
Are they specific things that you have to add in, or is it also like I know like the Maxis guy's coal power plant? The example was it replaces or it's an alternate coal power plant which like costs less but burns dirtier than the default coal power plant because the guy thought, the default one feels like it's not. The sort of cost benefit wasn't good, so if you use his instead, it has slightly different tuning values. Mm-hmm.
I put one pulsing fusion reactor that I got off the asset store in the middle of my city every single time I start.
The question that I had though was can you get assets that are just like backfill? So it's just like if I place a residential neighborhood and it random rolls which house goes in, can I also just go to the asset store and be like, give me 30 more houses to just up the randomization of my city? Or do I have to like get someone's Frank's residential zone instead, you know?
I don't know the answer to that.
It's totally.
But I'm seeing things that are just singular homes.
Stupid question that maybe you guys already addressed when I was trying to figure out about this Maxis guy. But are all of the things that are available? Are they just new skins for existing like logical units that are already in the game?
I was asking.
Okay, sorry. I apologize.
The way that I don't know. We don't know enough to know about this because what I read about the power plant offered by the Maxis guy was that it had different gameplay values, and that implied to me that it was a different unit. Right. So then that was what I was asking, like, are these literally replacements or variants that the game inserts, or is it actually you choose to, like, is it literally a mod where you're like, I'm going to augment my game experience by adding new units into the mix of things I could buy? And I don't know enough to know. Right. But the fact that any of this exists at all makes me really stoked. Also, I keep seeing a ton of people talk about the potential for doing a total conversion, and that makes me really excited as well because...
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Being
able to buy or download enough assets that you could unload the generic City Skyline assets and just load in someone's theme pack.
The golden era of this, I feel, or sort of the just shining example of this in PC games of this type. In other words, like non-character driven, like sort of more abstract, like simulational games was Civ 4, which spawned...
You'd say games where you don't play as a character. The better kind of game.
Yeah. I mean, that is what I'm talking about. But it was Civ 4, which spawned like really ambitious, really impressive total conversions that, like in some cases, I think jump-started careers. Like there was a guy who made the it's sort of like heaven and hell themed one, like religious themed one. I'm an idiot for not remembering what it was, but that guy has like a game design career.
Are there like entertainment units in this the way there are in SimCity, where you could build like a stadium or just like or a fun time park?
Like special buildings, like a statue of shopping that inspires people to shop more at your little business units.
Like, are there entertainment?
I mean, there is like a civic center and things like that.
Yeah, like you build sports arenas or like a music hall or whatever, things like that.
I know there's definitely civic centers.
Places that people go to entertain themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there's parks and stuff where people just go.
I guess you could use commercial things as well, because the inevitable thing that I would see existing / thing that I would want is for someone to just make every individual Disneyland attraction as a unit.
God.
So you could just build walking streets to build a huge fat theme park in the middle of this. You could have humans walk down the walking streets of it and also go in and spend money in those events.
And you can make a monorail.
Yeah, and you also could just integrate it with your transportation network, but that could just be inside of your city.
But if you just recreated Disney World as your
but you could also still have all the shitty hotels and stuff as well as part of your simulation.
Right.
And a town next to it, and then you'd make it a district that has a bunch of weird rules about what can and can't go on inside of it.
That's true, yeah.
And then you give it its own jail, and then you give it its own crazy job requirements where people can be murdered, and it's legal.
So indentured servitude housing.
Yeah.
To answer your question, so it looks like with the modding stuff, there's sort of two things you can do. Like, you have to think of a piece of the game. I was just reading this. That's why I know this information now. So if you think of all of the assets in the shipping game as like basically almost like gray box assets. So they all have properties and behaviors and things that they add to your city and change about your city. You can do one of two things. One is you can redecorate any existing asset. Okay. So you can be like, give me what already has all the properties of middle income, like 3-story housing, and then I'm just going to redecorate that and then put it up as like whatever.
So that you could housing. Just add more middle class houses to the game.
Sure. Or you can create all new assets that have their own properties.
So like that guy, the power plant example is a new thing,
right?
But he could have released it as a reskin or a variant,
or he could have exactly
of the existing coal power plant.
But if you actually go to the city's Skylines Wikia, it has a little section on modding. And it shows you the gray box. It shows you just like...
So someone just get going on making the exteriors of every Disney theme park attraction.
Yeah.
Also, when the Springfield mod is ready, you can please email me. I'll be very pleased.
Someone is clearly making every building on the Springfield map as well. Like, how is that not already being made?
It is. It is for certain.
What was I just going to say? Crap. Oh, yeah. So I haven't explored this either, but there seems to be even sort of a less ambitious version of modding than even any of those that you mentioned.
And Twin Peaks also would be welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. Or at least I assume there to be based on like an actual in-game sort of load screen tip that I saw at one point, which says like, if you have a like useful configuration of roads that you like, why not just save it as a prefab and then you can place it wherever you want, anytime, which was a super cool idea.
So if you built like a freeway with a clover leaf or a roundabout or something that you like, you could just stamp it down.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
So Sean, you could make a perfect grid and then just
finally do it.
Just drop
it. So I'm not sure what's involved in doing that, but the game inside the game suggested doing that. So it must be a thing that they expect
to be able to sort of band select things and
typical
just save
players
it
to be able to do. I don't know if you can do it like from the interface in the game itself, or if you have to go outside the game somehow. But they claim there's a way to just do it and make things.
Well, the thing that's really valuable about that, for the way my brain works, is I don't start making something that's like a really ornate design of roads because I know I'm not going to be able to keep it up. You know, because like, oh god, if it takes me half an hour to lay out these roads with like bends and curves the way I want them, like, my whole city's just that's all my energy. The rest of my city's just going to devolve into chaos. Like that's it. Like that's it for me. Yeah. So being able to like not have that be wasted work.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome. Man, it's weird that playing games is closer to game development than it. You know what I mean?
For some games.
Yeah, but just like a game like this, like you start thinking in the ways that you work. You know what I mean? Oh, that's really cool.
Are you apparently saying you're a very judicious mayor in real life?
Oh, I am a firm but fair mayor of Vagina City.
Good.
That's the name of my city.
I'm really glad. That's a pretty cool name for a city.
I'm
Vaginopolis.
I'm troubled to ask what your districts are named.
I haven't districted yet. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably change from something from my theme. I don't think it'll be a theme. I just didn't know what to name it. I'm bad at naming.
It's tough. Naming's hard.
Yeah, I name all my cities Patricia Town.
Oh,
because it's cute.
Are all the districts also just Patricia?
Pretty much, yes.
It sort of tips the scale. It tips slightly from sort of adorable to
all
like,
citizens are renamed Patricia.
Right. You can individually rename
citizen,
everything, not just every citizen, like every car, every truck.
True.
Basically anything, as far as I can tell. Like anything you can click on, you can rename. So there was a jet plane that like just soared over my town, and I'm like, oh my god! And I clicked it and renamed it Cooled Plane. And then I totally forgot about this. But my intention was to keep managing the city until I had airports, and then just check every single
and
plane
hope the cool plane would land.
Right?
Oh my
exactly.
God,
yeah.
That's like being
cool plane came back
at like the Seattle airport when like the Virgin America Beard plane landed, and you'd be like, "Oh, finally, it's the Beard plane from San Francisco! Great, awesome to see it here in this town." Later, Beard. Remember the Beard plane?
Yeah.
I loved riding in the Beard plane because I knew it wouldn't crash.
What does that mean?
There's a zero chance. There's zero chance we live in a universe where God crashes the Beard plane. It's too funny. It would never happen. I felt so safe in that plane.
That gets a way of looking at it, I guess.
Whatever helps you out, I guess.
They had a Stephen Colbert named plane in their fleet. Maybe they still do.
Oh,
that one would crash.
Still do.
That one would
The Colbert plane would crash.
It'll just retire too soon and move on to a bigger airline.
Oh.
He didn't retire, I guess.
It's on to bigger and better.
You guys
things.
want to take a break?
I guess.
You want to retire from this podcast and then move on to a bigger and better second half?
Whoa.
Oh, I meant a bigger and better podcast.
I mean,
it's like, oh, what?
That would be
where are we going?
We'll be back for Serial Season 2. Giant Bombcast. Oh, that's fine.
Write to questions@idlethumbs.net with your suggestions of better podcasts we could be on.
There's no better podcast than this one.
That's correct.
Only more successful ones.
Video game.
This episode is brought to you by Casper. Casper's an online retailer of premium mattresses. They're a new sponsor, and I have been sleeping on a Casper mattress for like 6 weeks now, maybe 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And
how do you find it?
I'm sticking with it. It's awesome.
I'm actually really intrigued to hear this because I've had several experiences recently where sleeping on bad mattresses has actually caused me like considerable back and neck pain.
Come take a night in the Casper.
Are you going to stay there? Because that's my
I won't
preference.
sleep with you in the Casper. Well, if it helps.
You can cuddle.
They have latex foam and memory foam. You have a risk-free trial and return policy. You can sleep on it for 100 days. I'm probably coming up on my 100 days with free delivery and painless returns. When you get this mattress, sorry, I have to talk about this. This is a little longer ad, but they're a new sponsor, so we can get into it for a second. When you get this fucking thing, it comes in a box that's like way smaller than what a mattress is. Like if I was like, Danielle, sleep inside this box, you would say no, because it's too small.
That's because it's just like rolled up,
Yeah,
right?
the way they package them is hyper efficient, and you dump it out, and then it comes with a little like letter opener, and you just go shit, and it just goes bloop, 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 and just it becomes a full mattress that you can instantly sleep on. They're $500 for a twin size mattress, $950 for a king. The queen is obviously somewhere in between there, and like that's shockingly reasonable for a mattress.
Yeah, that's really
and it's
good.
really high quality. Like I really enjoy sleeping on it. So you can go to casper.com/thumbs and get $50 toward any mattress purchase. Thanks, Casper, for sponsoring the podcast.
Thanks, Casper.
Thank you.
Come sleep in my Casper, Chris.
I will. Video game. Come sleep on my Casper. Possibly should be their tagline.
That one's for free.
Yes.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Sean.
90%.
I don't know what that means.
That's the percent of your life that you're in your underwear.
How do you know?
I'm reading it from the fine folks at MeUndies who are sponsoring this podcast.
How do you know that about me?
MeUndies
the average person. Sorry.
What if he's a never nude?
Because I am a 78%er or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very contextual for me.
Yeah.
Really? What what are these contexts?
I mean, it depends.
When you're sleeping in my mattress, one.
We need to know.
I just mean like it changes year to year based on like how many roommates I'm living with.
That makes sense.
Okay, sure.
So when you're alone and like the underpants are just off, it's 50%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But for that 50 to 90% of your life, you probably are going to have underpants on.
Yeah.
Anyway, you should wear.
Do you have a point to make about this?
Yeah, I do. They should be good and comfortable. And the MeUndies ones are. I am wearing them currently.
Oh wait, MeUndies is what this is about.
Yeah, I said MeUndies twice.
Did you?
MeUndies.
I don't know.
3 times. 4 times. MeUndies.
So I wonder what MeUndies is. Is it like a website where you can buy various types of undergarments?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. You can wear as much of the day as you want.
You can put them on your cat's head.
Absolutely.
That would be adorable.
Absolutely. My cat has a very tiny head, though.
So anyway, you find these good for actual
I am wearing my left leg in one hole and my right leg in the other hole and my booty in the back, and they're very comfortable.
Excellent.
These ones are gray. I have some seafoam green ones. And
you're keeping it subtle.
No, I have the fucking crazy patterns. I just happen to be wearing the gray ones. These are my business pants. Okay. Underpants. Oh, God. You'll notice I'm not wearing any pants. And they have men's and women's styles. You can get t-shirts and basics there as well. I also bought some MeUndies socks. I got some polka dotted red socks that are really nice and comfortable.
Me socks.
I got me socks. You can go to MeUndies.com/thumbs and get 20% off your first order and free shipping.
That's a good deal on underpants.
Deal. Thanks, MeUndies.
Yeah.
Think about how comfortably you could sleep if you're a person who sleeps in underpants with these 2 sponsors we've had.
I will do both of those things. Guaranteed. Depends on how hot it is. Might just be doing one.
Oh.
You'll be levitating in your room wearing underpants. I'll be sleeping on the floor.
Video game.
Mr. Sandman. Like what?
Do.
But you were doing a Zelda thing, right?
No, I was doing...
No, he was just booping.
I was just booping.
It was a generic.
I thought you were doing the, like, when you open the big chest.
No, that's...
Oh, Mr. Sandman.
You know, the best version of that is from the Golden Girls.
Is there a different version on the Golden Girls?
Well, no, they do an acapella.
Oh, I used to watch that show as a kid because my grandmother watched it.
Me too.
When we'd go to her house.
Yeah, I would be at my grandma's house. She would scratch my back, and we would watch Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Like as a young child, these are like my happiest memories.
She would
really
scratch
great.
my back, and I would scratch hers. By which I mean, I would watch Golden Girls with her.
While she scratched my back.
While she scratched my back.
It was a great arrangement.
Yeah, I remember just wanting to watch the Cartoon Express, but instead watching Perry Mason.
What is the Cartoon Express?
That was when all the USA would play a bunch of old Hanna-Barbera cartoons in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
You watch Quick Draw McGraw or whatever.
El Kabong.
Yep. But instead, what you'd actually watch is a VHS cassette containing a lot of Perry Mason.
I've never seen Perry Mason. I remember watching a lot of Wings.
I watched a ton of Wings.
Yep.
Chris, you'd probably like Perry Mason. That's the truth.
Yeah.
That was a...
I don't know, old guy being sassy.
He's got a winery. His family has a winery.
You know what I liked, speaking of that, was Matlock.
Matlock's like the sassiness scale is way higher.
Because the opening theme to Matlock is one of the fucking greats.
Classic rendition of Mr.
Greats.
Sandman.
So good. Speaking of good things,
do you actually want to
from the 80s.
Do you actually want to talk about that video game experience?
I can definitely talk about the video game experience I had.
Oh, VGX, the new Spike Awards show
experience.
Well, I just didn't know. It sounded like it was a personal. It was
I think it's fine to talk about. Probably, most likely.
So you're doing drugs.
I'm not
rated
much.
M section.
This is the rated M section, kids. First
rated
off,
M.
there probably are teens who do this, who do listen to this podcast.
Wait, there are teens that smoke marijuana and play video games?
Don't drink and drive or smoke and drive, kids. Just, that's your PSA.
But you can drink, smoke, and drive. Those 3 things are fine.
If you're drinking
it's
Diet
okay to
Pepsi,
drink water.
It's okay to drink water. I need to make it very clear.
Pepsi's okay. it was,
so you were doing the do.
Yes, it was doing the do. Okay, I'm a pretty straight edge person. I don't even really drink anymore at this point in life. Like, I'm super into exercise. Whatever.
Ecstasy.
However, no, not ecstasy.
I made eye contact on X, and I was like, "Whoa!"
But the other night, I decided, at the ripe old age of 31, I would get high and I would play video games.
What video game?
I played Far Cry 4, and it was the best experience ever. It was wonderful. I mean, I've been playing that game
in Far Cry 3.
nonstop.
Don't they? like simulate being high in the game sometimes?
They might. I didn't play 3.
Am I making that up?
Wait, is getting high the malaria of Far Cry 3? There's no way that
is the case. I thought there's like a cave with mushrooms or something.
Okay. Yeah,
I believe it. I just didn't play 3.
Yeah.
But they don't do that. 4 is a better game anyway, and is great. And I've been playing it obsessively, but playing it while high was just the best experience. It was just,
why?
Okay, so the reason why I like the game,
because I would be not. I would. That would freak out.
I understand that. Well, it's like a really pretty chaos simulator. I mean, from what I understand from previous Thumbs episodes from before my time, BD, the BD era.
Mm-hmm.
You had BD Wong on the show.
BD Wong was in the 4th chair.
Yeah, he's always sitting next to me, right? That's normal.
One of the most annoying...
I ride with BD.
One of the things I do to annoy my fiance more than almost anything else is to...
Get totally high and play Far Cry 4.
Sorry, Sarah just like moved to the edge of her chair, right? When he said that, and goes, okay, let's see.
Whenever either... like the concept of Blu-ray comes up for any reason, or the concept of BD Wong comes up for any reason, I engage on a just like remorseless pun tear involving BD-ROM and BD Wong. Like it's a thing that now can never leave my brain.
That's because Blu-ray discs are abbreviated as BD-ROM.
BD-ROMs. Like, that's the official thing.
Yeah, it's too bad the GCN isn't a BD-ROM compatible game console.
Oh my god.
You're gonna be a great dad, Chris. You're gonna. So BD-ROM, you're gonna say to like a 4-year-old, and it's just gonna.
They'll find it hilarious.
They'll just be delighted because it's like
because you're saying BD-ROM, which is just a weird. Blah, blah,
right. Well, it's like how you can tell it say terrible things to a dog, but if you do it excitedly with a happy face, they're still super stoked about it.
Well, you're gonna ruin your
never
child.
mind. I totally revoke my previous statement. You fucking psychopath.
Who's a little motherfucker?
Who's a little shit eater? Yeah.
They don't know the difference. That's all I'm saying.
It's kind of true.
I don't know.
Some stuff sticks when it's a human. They turn into full adult humans.
Eventually it will, yes.
Yeah. Doesn't stick with a dog.
No, usually not. Unless there's things we don't know.
I remember when I was a kid, when I was like, I don't know, 7 maybe, one of my younger cousins had it in his head that like, I guess just because of just overhearing things in the wrong way, he had yes and no reversed. Like, just for whatever reason, this was a thing. Because kids don't know anything. Like, so he...
This kid literally knew nothing.
No, but I mean, like, he knew...
I read a Wikipedia article about a pigeon that knew more than this kid.
No, but I mean, like, for his age, his language skills were otherwise, like, completely appropriate.
We're talking about, like, a 1.5-year-old here?
Were they, Chris? No.
I said otherwise.
I know.
I was making a joke about that kid getting into the
opposite.
Yeah.
See,
but I remember, like, because I was also a child and just like an asshole in the way that all children kind of are. I remember trying to enforce
Not all children, Chris.
I remember trying to enforce that in him because I thought it was hilarious. So like, I like when his parents weren't around, I like tried to reinforce that behavior. And I remember his aunt, my aunt, his mom, walked in.
I remember his aunt's my mother.
Walked in one time and saw me doing this and was really not happy about it. And I've tried to like play it, like act like I was, like the way kids instantly try and like
bullshit.
Oh no, I was trying to like tell him the right way to do it. But I would still kept like sneaking in.
You're making like a Rasputin-like hand gesture when you talk about like the way you would just bend this child's mind.
What was Rasputin's hand gesture?
Just the way you were sort of like, it was a puppetry to it.
Yes,
puppet
strings.
Yeah.
It's really great.
So you got high. You got high as fuck and played Far Cry 4.
And I played Far Cry 4, and it was so much fun. It was just so much fun. That game lends itself so perfectly to being high. It's just bright and colorful and pretty, and it's just a giant chaos simulator where a honey badger will try to kill an elephant, which will cause, 6 army trucks to fall off the side of a mountain, and just ridiculous shit is always happening.
Yeah.
So it's perfect.
You've discovered the secret to Ubisoft's annual sequels, which has been hiding in plain sight all along, which is get stoned and play video games.
I think that's what it is.
Did you find that it was like... Did you die a lot? Or
no, I was better than I've ever been at that game. I headshotted an eagle.
I
really did.
On purpose?
An eagle was coming at me, and I had an arrow, and I headshot the eagle.
That's even more intense.
I know, it was amazing.
Because that's actually
that eagle was also high as fuck. So.
Yeah, that eagle was just
the experience of it's appropriate. I feel that you shot an eagle with an arrow in the head in a video game, because that is actually really just what would happen in the actual world of a Seth Rogen stoner comedy.
Yes.
Oh, right.
He would just like inadvertently shoot an eagle in the head with an arrow.
Right. But then that's like becomes a paranoia spiral that results in the entire second and third act, or like the third act of the movie.
Right. Exactly. Like, yes. That sets off some.
All second act complications are exacerbated by headshotting an eagle with an arrow. Right. Well, like trying to animatedly make a point about something else.
Probably like the one remaining eagle of its species owned by the rich uncle whose mansion he's caretaking for the weekend or something.
And they have a hot
This is
daughter.
the Far Cry 4 movie.
Yes. That's all it needs
This is
to
it.
be.
Okay, if Uwe Boll makes the first Far Cry movie, fucking Far Cry 4 movie can be
Rogen's masterpiece.
Yeah, Seth Rogen Festival, Judd Apatow, whatever.
It would be wonderful.
Sounds like Blank Check with like a rocket launcher. That's
the pitch. It's Blank Check with a rocket launcher.
That's what it is. That's what the game is. Pretty much. I hunted a lot of animals. Really
I remember one time when I was a kid, Blank Check was on TV.
A lot of kid stories from old Chris Remo today.
That's just what comes up.
I remember this time when I watched Blank Check and manipulated a childhood friend of mine.
Into writing a blank check that says
Far Cry 4.
Yes, you can use this instead of no, you can't use this. That's exactly what it was.
I just remember that it was on television.
Sorry, that's amazing. Write on this check that I can't use it. So write, yes, Chris Ramo can cash this check.
Exactly.
That's really good.
My mom just walked into the room as the movie was ending. I don't even really remember specifically what the ending scene of that movie is, but it's a typical thing where it ends in a heartwarming way that's supposed to be uplifting. And I just remember my mom walked in as that was happening and said, "Wow, this looks like it was a really good movie." In just a completely sincere mom way. And then she left. And that was her entire basis for which I guess is the exact reason you put that in. Is just to fool, you put in an emotionally manipulative ending just to fool people into thinking that the movie entirely is actually a heartwarming.
Maybe your mom is stoned.
That's what it was.
Your mom just got done playing Far Cry.
That's what it was.
She just fucking no-scoped an eagle. needed something pleasant to.
That's what it was.
That was a very pleasant
experience. Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
Well, good.
So after that experience, you decided it was time to play Hotline Miami 2.
Yes.
You needed to come down with Hotline Miami 2.
Yes. Well, I played Hotline Miami 2 on a stream with my girlfriend the other day.
At twitch.tv/idlethumbs?
Actually, this one was at the other one that I stream at sometimes.
On the bad stream.
On the alt. The other stream.
On your alt?
You know. It's technically her stream, so I guess it's okay, right?
That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Your life is your life.
Yeah, I stream, I swing both ways on streams. It's cool.
That's fine.
It's no problem.
We're not jealous.
Anyway, Hotline Miami 2 is, it starts, I guess this is where I put in another little PSA from your Auntie Danielle. There's a little content warning. It starts off with a prompt asking you if you would like to see a scene that has the suggestion of a sexual assault, or if you would like to skip that scene. That's because that
scene was in early demos and everyone lost their shit because it was gross.
Exactly. That's precisely what
Look
it is.
how far we've come.
That is
there's a warning. So this is like the
it's like no Russian.
It's like the no Russian of it's.
Do you want to see this? Or are you a pussy? That's what
basically,
it said.
that's basically what the game is saying to you. Yeah, that's
cool.
the first thing you see in this game, and it's okay. And we were streaming, and in our stream we try to make it, as with the Idle Thumbs stream, a safe space. We told everybody we're gonna watch the X-rated version or whatever. If that makes people uncomfortable, just so you know. It's weird. It's a gross thing that happens for a second, but it's gross and kind of unnecessary. And then the game starts, and then it basically starts from a difficulty standpoint where Hotline Miami 1 left off.
Crazy.
It is ridiculously
difficult. This is
Yeah.
what I would assume this game to be, but I don't actually know anything about Hotline Miami 2. I didn't realize it was coming out until I guess it was already out. I assume it's just more Hotline Miami.
It's Hotline Miami
right?
Part 2.
Yeah.
in the moment to moment of playing this, is there anything notably different? Like I imagine there's like structural differences to how it works, but like just when you're kicking down doors and shooting guys, is it effectively the same? Like more weapons, different weapons, cool guys.
Early on, bigger, better, it feels very yes, exactly, bigger, better, more badass. I mean, the storyline is more ambitious. It's sort of like there are multiple protagonists. It takes place at different times, things like that. I think the first scene takes place in 1991, so it's like, well, in the 90s as opposed to the 80s.
Okay.
I think the first one took place in, 80?
I can't remember.
5 or something. I don't even remember.
I remember it opened in a transit station in Miami that was the transit station I would take every single day.
Oh yeah,
I was
spending
time in Miami.
Yeah,
years ago.
Yeah.
And I
That's
thought this was
funny.
I thought it was like such a big deal. I was like, oh my god, I literally walked to that station every day. And then I met the developers at like one of those things that you meet developers at.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, that station. And they're like, we just looked at a map. It means nothing. It is nothing. Oh, it's you go. Okay. And I was like, all right. And we spoke never again.
I love those exchanges.
Yeah, I was really excited, and then
it's like, oh,
sorry,
it's random. No, it's cool.
Miami too.
I'm so bad at this game. It's not even funny. Like, it's pretty much Patricia was mostly playing it, and when she got frustrated, gave me the controller to like play a bit, and then I would get nowhere, and she would take the controller back. Basically, it's kind of like gaming with your child, gaming with Danielle sometimes. Because I didn't play much of the first one
with my stone child, Danielle.
I'm a lot of fun at parties. No, I mean it's fun. It's a crazy, action puzzle game, basically.
Yeah.
And it's quite good so far, from what I can tell. I'm just so bad at it that I'm actually really just making no progress. Right. And enjoying that so much as I can. But
I mean, I know it's a trite thing to say, but I assume this to be the absolute, just like classic example of like, if you liked the first one and you want more of the thing,
seems like
pretty much.
It seems like just even everything that's written about it, it's effectively Hotline Miami 1 Part 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is,
if you
I guess this is just how I am with a lot of sequels, but it's really hard for me to get excited about that. Like, I played the first one and like liked it well enough, but it's just impossible. But like, so much of my perception of that game was that it kind of came out of nowhere and was this crazy abrasive thing, and playing it felt kind of fucked up. And then, and there's also just a video game in sort of the mundane way of like, well, then you just end up learning it, and it becomes kind of just what it is instead of being shocking anymore. It
was a fun game to get good at, though. Yes,
that is very true. I just mean on the sort of shock aspect of it. By the time you're done with that game, it's sort of like people talk a lot about getting desensitized to violence broadly through violent media, including video games. But video games do a thing where they sort of specifically desensitize you on an individual basis within the context of a
Hotline
specific
Miami's assets
game.
effectively just become the Matrix or something by the end of it, where you're just like looking at representative code for successful enemy deletion instead of like gross blood.
And then when it's like, oh, Hotline Miami 2 is out, it's basically more Hotline Miami, except they put a weirdly skippable sexual assault scene at the beginning. I'm like, okay, I'm probably not going to buy this. Like, it's just most likely I'm not going to spend my money on this.
It's just like a map pack from a mechanical standpoint. Although, I mean, there are people who are really into like the sort of twisty story and weird sort of shadowy stuff going on behind the scenes in Hotline Miami. And I'm sure for that sort of person, this game is what you desire the most.
Yeah, I would say that.
Was there anything sort of subversive in its design? That was Bobby taking something out. If you heard that, readers.
I think
is there any not in context of like other games, but in context of itself? Like the thing that I liked about Hotline Miami 1 was just you go to the video store and you walk in, and it's sort of, there were these like, the walk mechanic was the same walk mechanic, but you would just go do like 30 seconds of mundanity, and then it would move the story forward. I always liked that. I liked that. I thought that was smart in context of itself, but is there anything that's like, we're now turning this expectation on its head inside of its own game?
I mean, a tiny bit. I mean, I feel like you're already primed to expect the twist to happen at some point. I mean, there's a
point
where...
Is it a narrative twist? I kind of mean, like, structurally, or, like, is there anything where, like, oh, like, this level just is actually huge and never stops or something? I mean,
I've only played a bit, again, because I suck so much. I mean, there is a point where you're, like, delivering a pizza to a bunch of gang boss dudes that you have to kill. So you have to come in all quiet, and that's...
to all make sure that everybody gets...
Oh, wait, so there's a stealth section. Is that what you're saying?
Stealth pizza. Oh, they know you're the pizza boy. I
suspect if this game has a story structure that jumps backwards and forwards through time non-linearly, and is Hotline Miami, there's gotta be the reason that you do that, right, is so you can retread familiar ground at different times and stuff. And it seems like I don't know. Hotline Miami 1 is so clean.
Well, it's kind of dirty.
From the way it's built standpoint, right. It is really clean. Like, because when you're inside the actual levels murdering people, it feels just like a sweaty, disgusting mess. But then, like you said, all the same art and the same music and the same mechanics applying to the guy's life just makes his life feel just filthy and just like unclean. Yeah. Like it feels like
leaving your apartment with the same like flick of the stick.
Yeah, you feel like you've never taken the shower to get the dirt of the last week off of your body.
You're saying this. Yes, you're saying it's a very clean design that evokes complete filth.
Yeah, but like it does it by, like you said, just having you walk to the convenience store or like just get out of bed and pick up the phone. But like there's it
implicates all of the nonviolent things in all of the same aesthetic trappings of the terribly violent things.
Yeah, whereas like, I mean, another game that has the cycle of sort of a person's shitty life that came out around this, like in the same time in my brain, is Cart Life. Yeah. And that game, you never really feel like your guy gets 100% clean, but it feels like he's trying. And it like even like the end of level screens is like the guy just like leaning in the shower.
That game is constant striving. That's what that game is. Yeah. Whereas, which is great. I mean, like that's an amazing thing, and I feel like that game was enormously successful.
Hotline Miami is like this laser focus of this one thing while everything else just falls away.
Your character wallows in filth throughout, regardless of what he's doing.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Hotline Miami 2, it feels like, from what you're saying, Danielle, like that laser focus is not what the story is about, and it's instead about sort of all the bigger stuff that was being hinted at inside of the first game.
Yeah, so far as I can tell.
Because the end of Hotline Miami sort of is a little bit of a like blowout of like, oh, what you thought was going on was
like a Monkey Island 2 ending kind of thing.
Yeah.
Really? It's like,
well, I mean, just in terms of like, I don't know.
What you thought was happening is not happening, right?
Yeah, it's sort of pointing to a larger structure behind it without actually like delving into it yet.
Yeah. It's like Mulholland Drive.
God, that movie.
But that movie never acts as though there isn't a totally crazy thing happening.
I know.
I watched Mulholland Drive in the middle of the day on like a Tuesday.
Whoa.
Ugh.
There's something to be said for being wide awake when watching Mulholland Drive.
You know what I mean? It was in LA and the sun was coming in and I was watching it with this kid.
That's exactly when you should
I know, but the whole feeling of that movie crept so deep inside me that I have never gotten rid of it.
You know what's actually, when you say that, you know what that makes me, you know what that makes me think of? Just because of like when, like as a kid, I wasn't really, I got so many things that I'm talking about being a kid.
The childhood
anyway,
of
it doesn't matter. It's already been commented on. But like, when I was allowed to watch TV as a kid, it was in the evenings. I wasn't ever allowed to watch TV during the day, except when I was at my one specific grandmother's house where there was literally nothing to do. So my brother and I would just sit around watching TV all day long while the parents and grandparents just did whatever they did, adult things. And like we just watch TV all day long. And it felt like I would want to do it because I was a kid and I liked to watch cartoons on the television. But it also just felt gross because to me, TV was not a thing you did while it was still sunny out.
This is like the childhood version of drinking during the day.
Yeah,
but not when it's summer and you're in the park.
Nothing better.
Yeah.
But
sorry.
Well, nothing better, but when you know how to appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like,
always.
You know what I mean? Like the
born
sensation of just like, because like there is obviously something that is a bummer about just like drinking your life away, but like, but like drinking during the day, like in the right circumstance is great. And like, but just being a kid when there's nothing else to do and you're just absorbing the television.
You have no choice. You're just doing the thing.
Right. But you also want to keep doing it because you have no ability to, like, restrain yourself because, again, you're just a shitty kid.
Well, there are certain games that feel like that to me.
Yeah.
Like when you're just doing a thing where you know you're not even getting that much enjoyment out of it. But you're doing something just because, I feel like I should be doing this. I feel like I should be having fun doing this, so I'm going to keep playing this. Like,
I'm not going to turn the cartoons off.
Well,
exactly.
That's not going to happen.
You're not watching it because you like it and you appreciate it. You're watching it in those terms or playing that game because you were compelled to.
And because you can.
Yes.
Right. It's an indulgent compulsion, and then you have weird indulgence guilt.
And so there's something kind of salacious about it almost. And when you talk about... Not in a sexual way.
No. I just mean that's a construct. Like, I'm sure for some kids.
No, of course it is. Of course it is. But I'm just saying, when you talked about watching Mulholland Drive, like, that movie has just kind of a salacious tint to it. And like you describing that and that being sort of a weird environment to watch that movie makes me feel like, man, that's totally when you should watch that movie. Because
it was the perfect scenario.
You're just like sinking into that like gross sensation.
It was hot. The sun was coming through like slatted blinds in an apartment that I paid $450 a month for in downtown LA.
Oh my god. This is like when I actually watched Twin Peaks in a cabin in the woods in Tahoe, in Lake Tahoe, like this summer. And that was a really wonderful experience too. It was like a goofy cabin that had all like weird Nordic paraphernalia from the 40s. And
your apartment, though, probably had like a strange dwarf on an old-timey telephone living in your walls.
There was just like a hairy murder man living in the dumpster behind the Denny's across the street from my shitty apartment.
Hairy murder man? Oh, it's just Harry Murderman.
You know what I'm talking about, though, where they go into the fucking back and the guy and he gives him the
he just
Jesus
faints and it's really disturbing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Harry Murderman is also just like who the kids are terrified of, and the adults are like, it's just a guy. He just doesn't have, like, clothes aren't that nice. You gotta be nice to him.
Gotta be nice to him. He's had a hard go. He just.
So he's just the snow shovel guy from Home Alone?
I was gonna say that, yes.
Yes, exactly.
Never found the bodies.
Except his name is Harry Murderman.
I believe that it's time for Reader Mail, unless you were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say the ice turned the bodies into mummies. We should do Reader Mail.
All right.
We really should.
I can quote that whole movie. My sister and I do a whole like 2-woman show of quoting that entire movie.
Of
Home Alone. Mm.
Duncan Henry writes, my dad only plays one video game.
Dota.
Hey, Thumbs, I was just listening to your segment about people who have only one video game in their
Gary's
lives.
mod.
And that immediately reminded me of my dad and his somewhat obtuse taste in gaming. I've always been simultaneously confused and entertained by his reactionary nature towards video games, and I thought you fine folks would be as well. He's a huge fan of the game Age of Wonders Shadow Magic.
What?
An old turn-based strategy game where you play as a wizard and command an army of a mix of fantasy races to fight other wizards in the highest fantasy of settings. He's been playing this game since I introduced it to him in 2006. The game was released in 2003. Even though the game has had, in my opinion, a much better sequel since then, he refuses to move on and try it out. When I've questioned him about this, he's responded with something along the lines of, I just can't see how they could improve the current formula. Or, the balance of this game is perfect already. Why would I want to go to a game that doesn't have that? I've tried to get him into good games of a similar genre, like Civ or Crusader Kings 2, and tried to get him into other classic strategy games like Master of Orion 2 or Heroes of Might and Magic 3. The only other game he has played before this was Bandit Kings of Ancient China. But even that got edged out when Age of Wonders was introduced. Keep up the good work with the podcast. It's been great to listen to whenever I get knee-deep in different equations. Duncan. Differential equations.
That's beautiful.
Differential equations.
I mean, my dad is I don't think ever played a video game, but he has the same feeling about novels. He feels that ever since Moby Dick was written, that no American should ever even try to write a novel ever again.
Does he just read that again and again and again? Because video games...
So Moby Dick is his Age of Wonders, whatever.
Basically, yes.
Because, I mean, like, the developers of this game, surely, even if they didn't intend someone to still be playing the first one now, they definitely intended for people generally to play it a bunch of times.
Sure.
I don't know if Herman Melville expected people to, like,
it's like, after I read this, hang it up.
Keep reading it. No, I mean, he'll read nonfiction voraciously, but in terms of fiction, he feels like
that's it.
He feels like it's been nailed.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well,
nobody can improve on that. So.
Yeah. All right.
So he wasn't into Moby Dick 2, even though you tried to push it on him.
Yeah, he just wasn't having it.
The whale is so much bigger.
It's really just Moby Dick 1 Part 2.
Moby Dick 1, 2.
I don't see how there could ever be a bigger, whiter whale than this. Why would they even try?
Yep.
I don't see what could be crazier than Ahab losing one leg.
Ahab he's just a harpoon from now on. He's just a harpoon that runs around somehow on no legs. Anyway.
What could ever be a better possible metaphor for unchecked hubris and ambition? What was I going to say about the...
A bandit king.
The best thing... the best thing about the whole, like, category, I guess, of people who just play one video game is that because they only play one video game, they have no connection at all to, like, nor should they, to, because what difference does it make, to video game, like, the critical apparatus or the discussion around them, or, like, what video games are considered good or not. So, like, it really, those people are, generally speaking, no more likely to settle on a great game than they are a game that no one cares about, because they have no conception of, like, which has been received in which way.
As long as its core functions, like
work for them.
Yeah. It saves, it turns on, it turns off.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't, because those people generally are just like, oh, I don't play video games. I play Snood.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Because I Snood. Remember when Snood was a phenomenon?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like the absolute
Remember how
worst looking version
what
of
a fucking piece of shit Snood is?
That's an entire genre with so many.
Man, I had friends who had Snood shirts.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? You paid money to have that gross Snood?
Like, it's great to love that formula. It's a great game design. But, like, of all the ones you could be playing, you're playing Snood.
Yep.
Oh,
of all the ones, Snood.
So you're saying you're a Snood snob?
I played.
I'm a fucking Snood snob.
I ran into an arcade machine recently, just like in an apartment building that just has one of those like.
Strange sentence. Phrasing.
It's one of those like very hip, like trying to appeal to the kids things. So they put like a pinball machine and
like a
name
Snood cabinet.
No. No.
You got my hopes up.
It was not.
So they're trying to appeal and be hip.
Give me the address for the Snood cabinet.
No, it was.
I gotta go run into it. Oh, hi, Snood cabinet. Didn't expect you to see you here.
Snood, I am Snood.
It was a puzzle bobble ROM.
Oh.
But I played an entire,
right.
round of it, and it was really fun.
A puzzle bobble ROM is just as annoying to say as Snood.
Well, I don't know I don't know if it was licensed or not. I just know that it was on.
Oh, a PB-ROM?
Excellent.
God, speaking of playing an older game,
that was delicious.
I was cleaning out my
PB-ROM.
I was cleaning out my apartment recently, and I came upon my Game Boy Advance SP. Like, remember the clamshell?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, really nicely designed, very clean, little portable console, and my copy of Link's Awakening for Game Boy.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, oh man, we've been talking so much. Like, Link's Awakening has been the subject of reader mail for like 3 weeks now. I'm like, oh man, I'm totally gonna play this. And I put it in and start playing it, and it was such a bummer because I just cannot deal with how fucking long it takes for every single letter to like type on and beep every single time any text comes on the screen. It takes forever. Like if you go look at a tree and your character says like 8 screens worth about this tree that takes 30 seconds to get past, and you accidentally hit the A button again, you have to go through the entire thing all over again. It is true. It's a bummer.
There's not a fill all text button on like the B button secretly?
I can't find one. There aren't that many buttons on this thing, and I tried them all. And it's a bummer because I was really excited about it. I'm like, oh man, everyone's talking about, what great experiences they had with Link's Awakening. Like, this would be I never go back and play old games like this, very rarely anyway.
You could probably play a ROM and speed it up.
Probably so.
Yeah.
But it was so cool to find the actual artifact. It was such a cool thing.
Have
let it happen.
And it worked great. Like
this is Chris. Chris won't just...
I've been trying to do that way more lately. I went to on our week off.
Yeah.
I went to the DMV because I lost my my registration for my bike. And I went there with the attitude you go to DMV with.
Yeah.
And I was going, and my friend, she says, I love the DMV because it's this like the only thing you can do there is experience the DMV. Like, even if you're on your phone, if you're reading a book, it's still so happening to you that at one point you just have to get really good at going to the DMV.
Yeah.
Like, you have to like just find solace there. And now I love going because I've figured it out.
I'm actually
so now I've just decided that hard things are like when I feel myself holding that body anxiety of like, oh, I just want this to go faster. I want this to be over. I've been using it for a week now.
You go to your DMV.
You just got to go to the DMV. And you just fucking go to the DMV on this for like 5 seconds.
I am totally on board with that. I am 100% on board with that. I know exactly what you mean, especially in particular with the DMV. Like that kind of experience. Absolutely.
You should go play this game in the DMV that's right by your house.
It just feels different to me when it's a like volitional entertainment product. It doesn't feel the same. It's hard for me to get into that space with that. I guess. Because I'm like, I wouldn't be playing this if I didn't want it.
The amount of like look at text has to drop off after the first half hour.
I'm sure it does, but it's like any time any text of any reason for any purpose comes on. It's just a bummer of an old decision that someone made. You know, that's just like at the time it's what you did. You know, in games of that type, and now it just feels kind of silly. It just doesn't seem necessary at all.
I saw a woman throw her wig at another woman in anger.
At the DMV or just
at the DMV?
What did the woman on the receiving end do?
She was startled.
Yeah. Did she know it was coming?
Did she wear the wig? Did she pick it up and put it on?
No.
Did she know something was coming because of the mood?
There was a lot of tension in the air at the DMV. There was more anger in the DMV last Wednesday than I've ever seen in a public space. Yeah. Ever. Yeah. I swear to you, I saw 2 signs that said it is a federal crime to threaten DMV employees, punishable of like up to
5 years in prison
10 months in prison and $10,000.
Yeah.
Fine. Saw 2 signs. I heard 3 DMV employees get their lives threatened. 3. I am going to fucking kill you.
They needed one more sign.
I know. It was like, I like when the third one happened, I was literally just like looking left and right, being like, guys.
Like, look at
this is the thing, though. They wouldn't put the signs up if
it weren't a serious problem. Yeah.
It was.
They wouldn't pass whatever law is necessary to allow that sign to exist, then put all the signs up.
Right.
Unless, it was warranted.
Okay, I've looked up some information from a Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening speedrunner.
Excellent.
Okay.
As many of the tricks that I used in this run will generate a lot of questions, I think it's best that I start off with the most commonly asked ones. The main attention grabber, as I see it, is my liberal use of the Start Select AB screen, hereafter christened SSAB, despite never actually saving. It's actually a hugely powerful text skip tool for skipping what hitting B won't skip. Hitting SSAB at certain times skips lots of the text screens that come up, namely those that spontaneously generate out of thin air. Chests, stuff bosses say, whatnot. You can also skip conversations you initiate, and if you jam A when the save quit goes down, you can also automatically answer yes to any questions they may ask without ever seeing the text.
All right, well, you know what? Yeah, I'm actually going to follow that up with the reader mail from Anthony Fernandez.
Saying, don't skip the text.
Who writes, hey, Thumbs, over the past few episodes, I've heard these stories from other listeners about their Link's Awakening misadventures, and it reminded me of my own odd experience with that game. Back in the summer of '94, when my mother was pregnant with my little sister, little 11-year-old me spent a lot of time riding around in the car and sitting in waiting rooms while she did her various prenatal doctor visits. During this time, I was constantly glued to my Game Boy playing Link's Awakening. My experience with the game was probably a bit different than most. As you know, Link leaves one screen in the game, say from the right side. He arrives on the next side on the left edge of the room. Well, I somehow discovered that if you press the select button or maybe the start button, I don't remember, as it was transitioning rooms, I would remain in the same relative position I was in when leaving the previous room. So I left from the right edge of the previous room. I would arrive in the next room still on the right edge. This allowed me to circumvent or totally break most of the systems and content of the game. Nice. And I pretty much played the entire game this way. I, of course, would occasionally get stuck in walls, which would require me to reload a save. But for the most part, I was clever in my use of this exploit. I was able to completely skip entire puzzles and parts of dungeons and get to areas of the game far sooner than I was supposed to. It was a pretty interesting adventure. Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work. Your podcast is an integral part of my commute to and from work, Anthony.
That's awesome.
That's pretty good. As a kid, you'd be fucking stoked to figure that out.
Yep.
Without the internet?
So apparently the pause screen in Link's Awakening is just its weakest...
Right.
God, I was going to say weakest link, sorry.
Yep.
Element.
Zelda.
It's its weakest Zelda. That's who you play as.
You play as Zelda. He's a badass. Yeah. Did you know Zelda was left-handed? God, do you remember that tweet?
Yes.
Oh, tweet of the year.
Kristen Frere Joransson, probably not pronounced that way, writes, hey, Thumbs, you don't have to put this one on the podcast, but I knew I recognized... Okay, well... Oh, this requires the subject line, which is the original Are You Afraid of the Dark theme, as far as I know.
Oh, yeah.
An Icelandic singer named... Oh my god, it's even worse.
That's a...
Ellie Williamsdottir released the song Sveitin Sanda, which means the countryside between sands or the farm between sands. Here's a YouTube link to it, although it's on Spotify. So I listened to this link that the person sent in, and the melody line that the woman sings in the song is just the Are You Afraid of the Dark theme. Like, it's the same thing.
Right.
But I'm not going to play it because it takes a little while to get to it in the song. But this was released in 1965. And this person...
So is Are You Afraid of the Dark like a Blurred Lines situation?
I mean, maybe. If that lawsuit went through.
It did.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying like...
Oh, yeah.
We live in that era.
If that's the case, then maybe...
Yeah. Maybe Are You Afraid of the Dark versus that.
I mean, I think that
Scandinavian
is there like
song
a statute of limitations though if you let it go 30 years?
I don't know. I hope this is the Supreme Court case though, right here.
Are You Afraid of the Farmland?
God, I recorded a cover of the Are You Afraid of the Dark theme after
of the closing credits theme.
Of the closing credits theme. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm talking about this is also the closing credits theme.
The opening is just a slow, haunted version of that same melody line.
That's true. It's just a
little like heartbeats and creaking rope. And
slow, one version of it,
I was always too afraid to watch that show. I watched everything else on Snick, but not that.
Yeah.
You answered yes to that question. If you were Chris's friend, you'd have answered no.
Exactly.
My cousin. Alexander Craig Will writes, Dear Thumbs, your discussion of childhood misunderstandings jogged a memory for me. When I was 5 or 6, I got the chicken pox.
When I was 5 or 6, I mistake yes for no, and my friend kept...
My cousin was a real dickhead.
Was egging me on. His name was also Chris. My cousin's name was Nick. I later found out that I confused Chris and Nick.
I was enjoying it about as much as you'd expect, and so my mother, in an attempt to comfort me, said something along the lines of, I know it's no fun, but this happens to everyone once, and then it's done with. Unfortunately, I took this to mean that everybody has the same quota of misfortunes that they're guaranteed to suffer. It's just a question of when. It's only fair, after all. In other words, at some point in their life, everyone is guaranteed one car crash, one broken limb, one burglary, one house fire, one earthquake, one tsunami, one meteor strike, and so on.
Oh my God.
As a result, I was one of the only kids in the world probably who was terrified that nothing bad had really happened to me yet, because that presumably meant that when all that stuff did happen, it would all happen at the same time.
Oh, no.
Thanks for a wonderful podcast. You're regularly the audio highlight of my week now. If you'll excuse me, I need to go hide under my bed. Best, Alex in Boulder, Colorado.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Pretty good.
I was afraid I was going to die if my mouth bled and I swallowed it when I was 5. I was convinced that was going to kill me, that the blood would kill me. Even though it was my own blood.
Right.
I was absolutely convinced. I asked my mom and everything. I was like, am I
going
to die?
Say?
She's like, no, you're going to be fine, honey. It'll be all right.
Just don't drink too much, then you will die.
Speaking of
something my mom would say.
Speaking of asking your mom about things,
yeah.
Brandon writes, last week, Kara Ellison's story about her mom telling her that a condom was a little hat for the penis reminded me of a similar anecdote my girlfriend shared with me. When she was a kid, she asked her mom what a virgin was. Her mom responded with, quote, someone who's never made a mistake. My girlfriend went on for a long time thinking that's what a virgin was. Thanks, guys. Brandon Douglas.
That's really cute.
Wow. Cool mom.
That's
excellent mom story.
I think I had a similar, sort of, I didn't ever have someone tell me that in those exact words, but just being raised Catholic, that's kind of how the concept of the Virgin Mary is presented. They don't, you can go to mass for a long time as a kid and never be told what a virgin actually is, but sort of get this implication that a virgin is just someone who's better than other people.
Yeah, it didn't
That's kind of
up.
just what it is in that faith, or how it is presented anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
When I was in the 5th grade, my dad took me and my sister to see Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, and I came home, and my mom had been having a friends night, and all her friends left, and she started folding laundry, and I walked into the laundry room and asked my mom what masturbation was, because it had been said as a word in the movie. And my mom freaked out and said my dad was never allowed to take me to movies ever again. And I never found out what masturbation was until I started masturbating. The end.
And then it just spontaneously, the knowledge of...
No, I was able to fucking put it all together later. I was, whatever. I fucking, did some forensics on that shit and was able to
I remember
connect the dots.
My brother and I had a babysitter for a little bit in elementary school. And
Sorry,
interesting segue.
Well, it's very related because I convinced her to take us to see Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
It is very related.
Yes. I remember she asked me, "Why would you want to see this movie?" And I remember not knowing how to answer that question. I was like, because I want to. Like, I just didn't have the idea of having to justify.
Because the trailers for it looked funny as a little kid.
Yeah, exactly. But I am small and I only know what I want that the marketing has told me I want it.
And then we went and saw it and she's like, that was really stupid. And I again didn't know how to tell her differently.
Excuse me,
if
madam.
Only you had your current powers of rhetoric.
So you just asked her what masturbation was.
Not making a mistake. Mixing your metaphors.
She made a mistake, and it was taking Chris to see Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Yeah, well.
She got to the end and was like, that's really transphobic.
That's a really fucked up movie.
Yeah.
That movie is so fucked up.
I know, yeah.
It's crazy fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jake and I had this realization the other night at the Parkside. We were
you related the realization to me because I had it the last time I watched Ace Ventura.
I haven't seen it
since
which was aforementioned.
It was a couple of years ago now, and yeah.
Holy
It's
buckets.
ridiculously transphobic. Yeah. I'm just thinking about it now. I saw it when I was 12, and yeah.
You couldn't make that movie now without just everybody going, why would you do this?
Yeah, it's pretty shocking, actually.
Yep. It's pretty bad. The sequel was way better.
Was it really?
It was way more inclusive.
I know I saw the sequel, but I remember
was not good.
Absolutely
no,
nothing.
I didn't say it was
no,
good.
It was just completely
it was just
belittling
more it was just more. There are more things in it that are amusing to an adult than the first.
The Monopoly guy.
There's the Monopoly guy. There's the Rhino birth, which is definitely the best part
That's a
of
good point.
anything Ace Ventura ever touched, for sure.
That rubber rhino butt.
Yes. I mean, that's an actually funny scene.
It has its moments.
Yeah.
Okay, so on
more reader mail, really?
Very, very, very different note. Well, I can stop.
No, I want to hear the different note.
Come on.
Ryan Wianco writes, "Hey Thumbs, I posted this in the forums, but as a noob to the forums, I wasn't sure if you guys grabbed threads to read on the air or if an email with the same question in it is the best bet to get it on the show.
It is. Second. Good job.
It's a question I would very much love feedback on.
Passed your first test.
So he says, I run a small but growing dev house, and as we've grown, I've had to start thinking about filling lots of positions I would never have imagined myself hiring for. Things 1 or 2 steps removed from actual creative or technical development. Creating an HR department, for example, and just having someone to get dedicated to HR. The department we are planning for is, they're also planning for is public relations and hiring a director of communications to help shape our relationships with the public at large. I have a couple women in mind for a few positions in this department, both of whom have incredible track records in other industries. Both are enthusiastic gamers and are excited to work for us, but neither are familiar with the games industry itself. The director of communications also happens to be my wife, which combined with the fact that she's unfamiliar with things like Gamergate and the industry at large has made me hesitant about having her in a public-facing role. She would be incredible at directing communications without a doubt, but I realized today that the thought of her being our public face made me very nervous, especially because this is a woman I love more than any other. If she were already in the industry and was willingly putting herself on the front lines, it would be a different story, as she would know what she was signing up for. But the idea of bringing in an outsider who doesn't really know about the nasty sexist side of the community made me reconsider what the responsibility should be and made me incredibly sad for the industry as a whole. To be clear, I don't feel the need to shelter my wife, as she's the most independent lady I know, but I hate the fact that my first instinct in this situation is to, in fact, shelter her from a shitstorm of insanity that women have to deal with in this industry. My next step is to have some long talks with her about the state of this and what might be in store before making any decisions. But I was curious if other studio heads have faced similar dilemmas, or if there are any women here in public positions, and what advice you have, or women just entering the industry from the outside. P.S. I've been listening to the show since episode 1 when I was doing a podcast of my own, and 7 years later I've decided to get a bit more involved in this great community. Thanks for the pods you guys have cast on our faces over the years. Ryan Wianco under Iron Belly Studios.
Man, there's a lot to talk about here, because there's sort of like there's the quandary,
right?
And then there's obviously I think that's the more I don't know, that's the one that I think we should all talk about and tease out.
Wait, what is the other thing that you're talking about?
Well, at the end he asked about like women in the industry, like just sort of direct experiences, and obviously
sure, yeah, okay.
I mean, so we have a studio called Campo Santo, and Jane Ng, who's our environment artist, she's talked publicly about this, so I feel like it's okay to talk about. She kind of like raised the ire of some Gamergaters for a few weeks there, and that was tough because like she's my friend, and you kind of like it was that same sort of thing, but on a very small scale of wanting to like be like, you can't talk to her like that, and like step in as a guy. And also just as somebody who's like, so at Campo Santo, I generally run the business the most. Like that's just what I have taken on the most of. And so I felt like I needed to do something, but I didn't really. And Jane just did her thing, and it was fine because she's smart and professional, and like I would never want to tangle with her because she's like a very formidable human being. But she's also been in the industry for long enough to where like I think, you know, like she just knew she had perspective on the entire situation, which I think is kind of the important thing to think about in hiring anyone, especially your partner, in that making sure that they're like set up to succeed.
Sure. That's
something that I would be outside of the Gamergate context. I'm sure you could probably think of another very difficult to explain concept that could be an immediate hurdle for her that she doesn't have the experience to overcome. And you as her husband / boss would be a very challenging, like that would be a very, very challenging relationship to navigate. Not that it's impossible. And it sounds like you and your wife have a fantastic, like respectful, good relationship where you guys can do that. But, yeah, I think that's sort of the thing that I realized listening to that.
I think the most important thing in the universe as an employer or as a partner, as somebody who cares about another human being, is to be supportive and make sure that the other person feels supported and not, you know, patronized or anything along those lines. But in such a case, you know, like if I am being harassed and my boss it wants to show support, they could say something like, hey, I just want you to know we're here for you. If there's anything we can do, there are services, there's HR, whatever it is. Just sort of verbalizing and acknowledging that we're here for you. We're not going to step in or do anything weird. Yeah, right. We care, well, also just and we're here.
And something I told Jane, and Jake and I talked about, we all talked about it, Jake, Jane, and I, was publicly somebody looped me into the conversation. And I think my only response publicly was like, Jane is the best, and anything she says she is speaking for the company on this. And then we just got together and like went and got coffee and said like, look, like I trust Jane, like I trust her with everything, you know, the whole, like, that's kind of the fun thing about running a small business, especially a game developer, is that like any one person could destroy the company. Like, cause there's such a big piece of the pie.
Yeah.
So like, you have to trust that person with the keys. And you just made that clear. Like, Jane, you say whatever you want on Twitter. You say whatever you want in a talk at GDC. You do whatever you want. And that would go for anyone, you know, because you have to be able to you have to feel trusted and supported.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we did talk about that. And I think that's a good piece of advice.
Yeah.
It's a really good piece of advice.
I think that's the most important thing. And also, like, it can be very, you know, I've been harassed a bit, obviously not anywhere close to the degree that several people in our industry have been, several women in our industry have been. But I have gotten some degree of it, and my girlfriend has gotten it far, far, far worse. So I almost feel like I sympathize with this person, you know, preemptively feeling bad about his wife potentially being harassed as well. And it can be a really, really isolating feeling, even though it's obviously happening to many people. Like, when it actually happens to you, it can feel incredibly isolating, and like you don't feel like you can talk about it because you just feel like it's going to get worse. If you talk about it publicly, it just means it's an admission of defeat in some level, or that it could be taken that way by the people who are doing the harassing, that, oh, you're admitting that it's getting to you, that kind of thing. And in those cases, again, support is the most important thing, and finding a place, like, there are places on the internet where women who are in the game industry can potentially be supportive of one another. You know, there are places for that sort of thing, and that's really, really, really important. So if she does take this kind of job, I would encourage her to find those places, to seek other women in the industry, and actually really take that seriously in case something does happen. Because you can't really put a price on the feeling of like, hey, there are other people who this has happened to, and they give a shit, and we're going to help each other and kind of have that. So both support on your, like, within your workplace, and also support within just feeling like other people in the industry care. And
I think it's also worth going into this with the knowledge that the culture is what it is,
yes,
but also not with the assumption that it will be terrible. Like, I think you can overhype yourself up about how shitty this is guaranteed to be and what a huge risk it is, to the point that you just spiral yourself out of even considering this a possibility. And like, I don't know, like that even just within that email, it felt like he was like writing it out, working himself up about how fucked it was going to be. It's like, it's probably not going to be fucked. Like, you know, hedge your bets, be careful. Everyone should, like, always, but like,
sure,
you know, just
yeah. I mean, I think as long, like, yeah, I think you're right. You know
the risks and know the realities.
And it'd be a real shame if a like very capable, like, great person was kept out of the industry,
right?
Because that's exactly what people want.
Yeah, that's
the terrorist winning, basically. Yeah.
That is actually, I think, at the One Reason to Be panel at GDC, oh man, what's the name of the former Uncharted creative director? Amy Hennig, yeah. She gave a presentation, and one of the things she said she had a different experience than a lot of the people out there, because she's worked in like large organizations that presumably like have HR departments, all these things. She spoke about the experience of not really ever having to deal with like harassment or like sexism at her job, and having actually a pretty great career of like supportive people. But one of the things she said is like to be careful about like creating the image that these problems are so like fully blanketing every moment of kind of women's experiences in games, that they actually like guarantee that even fewer women than already do will have any interest in becoming part of the larger community, which, you know, is worth considering. It's worth taking into account that, as well as like steeling yourself for the possibility that a shitty thing may in fact happen.
Right, but the majority of the time, and for probably a huge amount of people, all of the time, you'll just be doing your job.
Right.
Yeah,
but then there's also just poo everywhere.
Right, there's the poo everywhere. I had very conflicting feelings on Hennig's talk.
Sure.
I think first and foremost, she's incredible and talented, and I'm so happy she had that experience. Like, that's wonderful. I think it's entirely possible that she has the kind of personality where something that would be really, really hurtful to somebody who's potentially a little more sensitive, it would just wash off of her. And I'm not sure if that has to do with, she talked quite a bit, actually. She went on and on about her entire career. She originally went to film school and experienced tons of sexism in film school as a cinematographer, and then said she went to video games and was like, this is amazing, this is great. Like, by comparison, it felt like a very even playing field, which I think is super rad. And she talked about how, like, the way she deals with criticism was, you know, somebody saying, make me a sandwich. And she's like, yeah, I'll make you a sandwich. And then her next slide was, and also a AAA game franchise. So I almost feel like she has really, like, you know, quote unquote, the right attitude to deal with that sort of thing. But I also hesitate. I also don't want to ever place blame on people who don't have that attitude about it. Basically.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If that makes sense. Like, not all of us are sort of equipped to deal with harassment or basic poo and shittiness in sort of the same way. So it's like it's kind of a tough
I couldn't do that. Whatever that response about that make me a sandwich and I couldn't say that.
Yeah. It's like a very like I strive to be that way and I want to be that way, but I also know that it's probably unfair to expect all of us to be that way.
Yes, for sure. I think the difference is maybe actually my suspicion would be that one difference between the experience Amy Hennig has had and the experience that some other people have had, part of it might be a personality thing, but I think part of it might actually just be being exposed to like literally different things.
Sure.
Like I think that there's a big difference between Amy Hennig's career, which is like has existed in the institutional games industry, like at, again, large companies with like established HR departments. And like, she doesn't like, I don't know. Does she even have a Twitter account? If she does, I don't think she, okay. Well, she's not a Twitter person. She's not like an online, always in the middle of the internet person. It's just clearly not the kind of, it's
her
very
face
clear.
Is also just not out there.
Yeah. She's just not really like, she's the kind of person who likes going to her job and going to the office. And that's where her job is. Like, to her job doesn't exist on the internet. Her job exists in the physical walls that is the office she's working in at whatever company that is at any given moment. And so I think the reason she's had that experience is in large part because most of where these shittier experiences come from is because the people who are taking the shit have either a like professional career or a sort of hobbyist career that actually lives in the middle of the poop.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's unaddressable.
Right.
Like, because it's,
yes.
I think I suspect that receiving a cascade of online harassment from nameless, faceless shadows is a very different experience than receiving a sexist remark from a human being you're standing in front of. Not that one's easier or whatever. Like that's
they're just very
different experiences.
Sure.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, I believe Amy Hennig when she says that she has had almost no experiences like that. I think it's totally possible to have a career where you just work with good people.
Yeah.
But I think increasingly, especially on the sort of smaller scale game development side of things, it's more of your experiences are going to exist in the kind of big online unguarded sort of like poo land. Although the particular job that is being described, which is director of communications, is also probably less likely. Like that's the kind of job that probably doesn't have to be like, this is me with like my Twitter personality. Like that's probably more of a thing where she's like dealing with press outlets and fashioning.
It
press
really depends on the size of the company. Like, you could also just be the face of every blog post signed with your name. You know,
that was my experience at the ACLU when I worked in communications. I had to be
because like at Telltale when it was a 30-person company and the web team was me, Doug, and Emily Morganti. Emily was the face of that company. Like every blog post that posted by Emily, every forum post was just her. She didn't post as Mod or something like.
Right. No, but I guess what I'm saying.
Like the YouTube account was Emily TTG.
Yeah.
You're not saying like.
No. Okay. Well, that's true.
And she was the entire communications and PR department for a 30-person studio.
Yes.
Yeah.
But even within the context of the size of the studio, it's also like, what function is that serving? Is that her like going out and being an evangelist to the internet at large for Telltale, or is that her dealing with the Telltale community on the Telltale forums and Telltale channel?
It was the latter until something goes wrong, and then she's the face that everyone takes a shit on.
Right.
Yeah.
And there are also companies that don't like any employees to have a face out there, not for gender reasons, but just because they want it to be the company rather than like some arbitrary person of the company. So it really depends on a million different factors that we don't know about this person's particular studio.
It could be a very institutional
but also
voice,
it's
or
his
it could
studio,
be a
so he can just
voice.
decide what he wants it to be.
Yeah, that's true too.
But anyway, I think it would be a shame for you, the person writing us, to like be so overcautious about this that you like don't give a deserving person an opportunity. I think you both
it just comes down to
just need to like understand the reality of the situation and like try to like, because you're also deciding what this job is and what the responsibilities are, and like create that in a responsible way.
And have sort of, I find that it's very helpful to have the idea of, okay, if things do go wrong, here are the steps we'll take. Here's the support we'll give you, that kind of thing.
Make sure that she knows you have her back, which I'm sure she already does.
Yeah.
Cool. Man, that was long. You guys want to call it?
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
It's a good place.
Yeah.
None of you, I don't want to talk about it right now, but no one here has played Ori and the Blind Forest yet, right? Because we're all idiots.
Not yet. I'm playing it tonight.
We'll play it.
That game looks really good. That's all.
Maybe next time.
It's really pretty.
Jake, you play it.
Having no internet, the week that City Skylines and Ori have both just like been exploding is so painful. That's all. Thanks for listening. Chris, you want to play us out with your list of social links?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Man, good point. This has been Idle Thumbs. We're a podcast on the internet at Idle Thumbs on Twitter. Facebook.com/idlethumbs. If you did like this, please tell a friend. It's the only way that we grow the show. Consider rating us on iTunes if you liked it. These things all help, and it's literally the only reason anyone listens to this podcast. So thanks if you've ever done that. It means a lot to us.
Yep. You can find us on the internet at our actual homepage at idlethumbs.net/idlethumbs, the best URL. I don't know if you said this at the beginning, but please write us more emails at questions@idlethumbs.net.
Yeah,
and watch us on Twitch. Recently.
Please go back and watch Danielle's City Skylines streams at twitch.tv/idlethumbs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you want to hear more City Skylines talk,
or hear Patricia snore,
that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say 3 Moves Ahead, which is a sort of strategy and wargaming podcast that is also on Idle Thumbs and is fantastic. Did a whole City Skyline episode this week.
I need to listen to that.
That has a million guests on it. It seems like it's a good episode.
That's cool.
Super.
Meet you guys here next week.
Sounds good.
All right.
See you in my bed later.
Definitely. Oh yeah, you know it.
You and your undies.
Me.
You and MeUndies.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Sean, you know what we can listen to when we're in that bed together?
Well, I know what I'll be listening to.
What?
You breathing.
Well, what I will be listening to and what will make me breathe excitedly is not you, but Retroactive Part 1, the new album from Kaiji Yamagishi, his first ever solo album. He was the composer on Ninja Gaiden and on Tecmo's Super Bowl. Yes.
If I hear the theme, if I hear anything that sounds like the theme from Ninja Gaiden while you and I are in bed together, it's going to be a long night for you.
Well, you can listen to this in advance for free at store.bravewave.net. Try it out. See what you think. Buy it if you like.
I'll wait till after you've tested out my bed.
Right. Well, store.bravewave.net. It's called Retroactive Part 1. Here's a little taste.
I'm wearing them right now. I'll do the entire ad read in my underwear.
Oh my god.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want
at least.
Yeah, I don't want you to have to.
The entire first half, he's going to be taking
and only
them off
my underwear. Jeez Louise.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing.
Step 1, the MeUndies come off through the pant leg without the pants being removed.
Slowly, weirdly.
And for my next trick, I'm going to shit a Casper mattress.